Hey, Betty. Is Mr. Jameson around?
Pete, he just went in his office and he was fuming that you weren't here. Better go see him.
He was looking for me? Huh. Hi, Mr. Jameson.
What are you doing here? Get down to the sports arena, now!
Huh?
Quentin Beck has publicly challenged Spider-Man to go and prove he's for real. He's broadcasting on TV right now. I want pictures.
At the sports arena. Okay.
Man, this version of JJ must be really married to his job, because some of the JJs I know would definitely go and see Spider-Man get humiliated in person.
So Quentin Beck's gonna prove I'm a fake, huh? This, I gotta see.
Well, we can already assume that his version of proof doesn't involve any science, because that would leave the possibility of him being wrong, and he wouldn't accept that. We're gonna use this car to take a look at this poster right above this stadium. It's nice that this car is driving real slow so we can see the whole thing. But who knows, maybe I'm just misjudging Beck. Maybe he has all these experiments planned and is gonna ask a lot of questions and I'm just being a jerk.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the event of the century? Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man we've all been waiting for. That most outrageous of conmen. The unscrupulous, the deceitful Spider-Man!
For those of you just joining us, Hollywood effects expert and Spider-Man critic Quentin Beck has issued a public challenge to the web-slinger. Bob, what do you think?
Well, Steve, it's a bold move, no doubt about it. Personally, my money's on Spider-Man.
All right, we'll have to see how it plays out. Here comes Quentin Beck now.
And now, your MC and host for this evening. You know his legendary work from such films as Cyborg Babysitter and Tears of an Alien Bounty Hunter. A man who has worked tirelessly for the entertainment of all mankind. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce that master of film magic and illusion, that expert of the unknown, the one, the only, Quentin Beck!
Thank you for coming, Spider-Man. I knew you couldn't resist.
I don't like people building a career off bad-mouthing me, Beck.
What about that newspaper man, Jameson?
JJ? He just has a knack for hiring good photographers.
Well, Spider-Man, now that you're here, let's get right to it. Your first challenge will be something you're supposedly quite good at. Rounding up criminals.
That's it. All right, whatever.
Oh, there's more to it than that. After you collect each criminal, deposit him in one of the 3 holding pits here. And by the way, you'll only get a point if you use the pit with the green light. I'll be competing against you, and there will be 3 waves of criminals. If I, with no so-called superpowers, collect more criminals than you in the allotted time, then the world will be able to see clearly what a sham you are.
I don't know what happened to make you so delusional, Beck, but bring it on!
Well, it looks like they're getting ready to start. According to the press release, the city's Department of Corrections provided the criminals Beck and Spidey will be collecting.
Right, Steve. And virtually every one of these convicted criminals is someone Spider-Man helped capture, including one celebrity criminal, Herman Schulz, a.k.a. the Shocker.
Well, it should be interesting to see how that affects the results. Oh, it looks like they're starting.
So all we gotta do is use the grapple move and toss these criminals into the pits. We just have to score more than Beck does, but this is so insultingly easy that you would probably have to sit around and wait if you actually were going to lose. We can also charge our throw, by the way. I've never found a reason to do this because I would never want to throw an enemy that far. But we can do that if you really want to.
Do you like my gadgets, Spider-Man? I perfected the technology.
What is your problem?
Death robots.
I don't know about your effects, but your education must have been special.
So we can see that Beck never had any intention of actually proving anything. He's just a showman. Which begs the question, what does he gain from this?
Spider-Man has taken an early lead. Clearly, this is one hero who knows what it takes to control a situation.
You're right, Steve, but Beck still has plenty of time. As a wise man once said, it ain't over till it's over.
So it may be hard to see, but Beck has 2 grappling hooks that come out of his jetpack that he can... There they are, right there. That he can use to grab bad guys.
I'm better than you, Spider-Man, and today I'm going to prove it.
So there you have it. The reason Beck is doing this is just because he wants to prove that he's better than we are. Seems like he has trouble with ego, this guy. But then again, what version of Mysterio doesn't? The insides of these holding pins are padded, by the way, so we're not actually hurting anyone.
It's the last batch of inmates, and Spidey has been showing everyone how it's done. Beck is going to have to do some fancy flying if he's going to make a comeback now.
I'm not actually sure it's physically possible for him to make a comeback. Oh, we fell in the holding pin, but we're fine. Just hop right back out. So even if, I'm sure this goes without saying, but even if Beck won here, it wouldn't prove anything. Because this isn't real crime fighting. They're not fighting back. If he won, that would only prove that he's better at picking up people that are running around aimlessly. The actual fighting part of crime fighting adds a whole ton of new variables to the situation that could not possibly be accounted for in this test. One of the inmates is stuck on the edge of the holding pen. I'll help him out. Of course, it doesn't really matter if his test is valid because public opinion of Spider-Man would shift either way. And we can see Beck dropping the last two inmates into the circle as it turns red, breaking his own rules.
That's all of them. How about it, Beck?
You're very clever, Spider-Man. You obviously have more tricks up your sleeve than I expected. Still, this last challenge will prove who is the better man once and for all.
Is that what this is really about, Beck? Proving that you're better than I am?
I don't have to answer that. You're the one being tested here, not me.
Whoa. Sounds like I hit a nerve.
This is our last challenge, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen how cleverly Spider-Man can maintain his illusion of heroism, but now, all his supposed skills and abilities will be put to the ultimate test in a one-on-one challenge against me. Here are the rules, Spider-Man. I have built an obstacle course. You will start here. All you have to do is reach the end of the course, hitting these switches along the way. I, meanwhile, will be manning an electric cannon. If I see you, you can be sure I'm gonna hit you with the cannon. Don't worry, the cannon is non-lethal, but once I hit you 3 times, the contest is over and I win.
That cannon doesn't sound too great, but if I back out now, I'll never live it down. Let's get this over with.
Well, I don't know about you, Bob, but from where I sit, things don't seem to be going so well for Quentin Beck.
I agree, Steve. He's going to have to do some pretty fancy shooting here if he wants anyone to take his claims seriously.
All right, now that you're in position, let's begin.
So as soon as this starts, we need to run immediately for the first switch. It doesn't give us much warning.
You missed your calling as a playground designer, Beck.
And you missed yours as a rejected has-been. But that will be corrected soon enough.
Psychologists call that projection, Beck.
Seeing as Mr. Beck here is both egotistical and insecure, it's rather easy for Spider-Man to poke holes in him. You might notice that the crowd next to us is just flat cardboard cutouts. I thought this was for technical reasons, but Spider-Man actually mentions the crowd being fake. So Beck couldn't even get a real crowd, and that's just kinda sad. But maybe just literally everybody is at work or headed to work right now and they couldn't make it. Let's assume that's what's going on.
Even the audience isn't real. Beck is the real phony here.
So none of these challenges are particularly, challenging. I would say it's tutorial for Spider-Man's wall crawling, but we're well past the point for tutorials now. Anyway, the idea is that when we're not hidden behind one of these panels, Beck has a clear shot at us and he'll shoot us with the electric cannon. On this one, the floor panels flip, which would make us visible if we fell through them, but we can just kinda crawl on the wall. You know, one of our most basic superpowers. You figure he would have accounted for that. At least Spider-Man seems to know how easy this is.
You're a sad little man, Beck.
I know you are, but what am I?
I can't believe you just said that.
Man, we may not be punching Beck, but the psychological damage we're dealing is critical here. I feel like this obstacle course is more for spider babies. Like if Spider-Man developed his powers when he was little and he needed a way to express those in a safe environment. This is what that's for, sans the electric cannon. If we had the first movie game's web zip, we could have finished this by now, but we don't. This version of Spider-Man is definitely more agile overall, but the web zip in the movie game really couldn't be beaten because it takes you just directly where you're pointing. The web zip in the Amazing Spider-Man games is the only way to improve on it, I think. That's not to say the web zip here is bad, it's just different because the game design is different, and that's okay. There's not very many situations where you're moving around in an enclosed space like this, but the first movie game had a lot of enclosed spaces. It's just all about priorities.
Come out, wherever you are!
Wow, very original.
The last obstacle here is just some very insultingly easy platforming, but I would call most of Beck's challenges insultingly easy. But I think that's part of the joke. At least the dialogue seems to imply that it's part of the joke.
And as for you, Beck, stick with the movies. It's obvious reality is way too much for you to handle.
How could he? It isn't fair. He doesn't deserve the spotlight. It just isn't fair. Oh, he can't win. He won't win. That smug bug. Let's see how he likes it when I turn this cannon to maximum power. Oh! What? The laser is overheating? Oh, stupid machine! Work! Work! Come on, work!
Problems with your laser, Beck? I hear there are pills for that now. This was too easy, Beck. I guess I should thank you, though. I really needed some good press for a change. See ya.
No, it's not fair. It's not fair. He shouldn't have won. All the work. The obstacle course, yes, the obstacle course was good. Oh, the electric cannon, the electric cannon. Why?
Hey, Beck, what was it like competing with Spider-Man? Is there anything that guy can't do?
Beck! Beck, what does this do to your theories about the web slinger? Are you ready to admit you were wrong?
Hopefully that's the last I'll hear from Beck.
Alright, now we've got some grinding to do, and then we'll go buy junk from the Spidey store, and then we'll grind some more before the chapter ends.
Talk to me.
So I'm sad to say that none of the upgrades this time are useful for very practical reasons. They might seem like it at first. Oh, the swinging upgrade is definitely useful, but the dizzying strike, the multi-web tie, things like that, not so much. The reason the multi-web tie isn't particularly useful is because we're getting to the point where enemies can dodge our webbing. So just using the impact webbing, which restricts them immediately and can't be broken out of as easily, is a much better solution, making the multi-web tie almost useless. Since we've got quite a few more hero points to get before the chapter ends, what do you say to a slight montage?
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web in his size, catches seeds just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
Well, that was fast. I was just starting to get into my groove. Let's finish off these guys and then we'll end the video, and I'll see you next chapter.
Come on, some of us got places to be.